Welcome to Veronica Live, and I'm here because, John and I, we've got the Memorial Day weekend coming, and we thank all of our service members that have paid the ultimate price, and, what is freedom? And lately, freedom means more than ever. But John and I, we've got our Afterburner Debrief segment, and as usual, things are blowing up. I'm not quite to 1 million followers on X yet, but Buck Sexton liked one of my my tweets last night, and today Matt Gaetz is always putting out how the military has gone bananas with DEI, and so I responded today that I wore the uniform for 20 years, and really we need to be focusing on being a military and making sure that China and Russia fear us. And he actually liked my tweet. So I'm working hard. I'm working hard, John, to get to that 1 million. But there's just been so much in the news already. And the happy story that was in the Afterburner was that the Florida city scores U.S. News and World Report best places to live in America, and it was not in the Panhandle. And I recently was in this city last year when I went down to see Pitbull for my birthday. It was nice. It was nice. And it was Naples. Have you been to Naples? It was absolutely
I have been. I've been
adorable,
to
I have to say.
All over the state of Florida. But I still think the Panhandle is nice.
Yeah.
And you got to remember that Florida is like 4 different states, really.
Well, and people don't understand, and I always like to point this out. If you are here in Panama City and you drive to Miami, it is a 10-hour drive. If I drive from Panama City to Pensacola, that's 2 hours. If I drive to Tallahassee, it's 2 from here. And then if I drive to Jacksonville, it's 4. And then to get to Disney World is 7. So let me tell you how damn big the state is, John. People think it's so small. It's exhausting. When my son went to University of Miami, that drive a couple times we had to make. Oh, killer.
It is. It's huge. And it's very different living conditions. Miami-Dade, Palm Beach County, up to Jupiter, that's like one giant city. If you drive up the interstate, you can't hardly tell where one starts and the other stops. And, you go over to Tampa, St. Pete, that's a completely different vibe from Miami-Dade. Jacksonville, Central Florida, completely different vibe from the Panhandle. So, it's really you can pretty much pick whatever lifestyle you want. You like country living? They got it here in Florida. You like big city living? We got it here in Florida. You want to live in a Disney World? You can do that. So
it's so true. It's a huge diversity. I like Miami. Veronica, let's go to Miami. And the food is so good.
We have great government. It's Republican led, so taxes are in check. They try to keep the government out of your life. What a novel concept that is. We have sheriffs that actually enforce the law.
Oh, that is my most favorite part, because nobody's going to be squatting in your house here.
Right.
And it's really good.
So
But
I feel. I don't know about you, but I feel safe in Florida.
I feel safe.
I don't mind traveling anywhere and walking in any city in the state of Florida. I have no problem. I would not do that in Washington. I wouldn't do it in New York.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable when you're in a scary state and you can't have your weapon. And I'm actually, I think I'm going to start a clothing line it's called Always Be Packing. I really think I'm going to start that, because that is like one of my new slogans. John, always be packing. But yeah, I'm with you. This is a great state to live in. Even though DeSantis has driven me a little crazy lately. When we took the break, he was actually filling in for Sean Hannity today on the Sean Hannity show. So I'll have to listen to that later. But he needs to get back to being our governor.
Yeah, but it kind of goes to the second story in the stack there about Florida government being responsible, and that's the nightmare. The Florida mom among the thousands who had lottery winnings withheld by the state.
Don't you be keeping my lotto winnings, John. Hell no. I play when it's always $1 billion, Yeah. So. Yeah, we just had another tech issue. We've had a tech-filled day. So I was telling John, I was like, don't you be taking my lotto winnings, buddy. So, yeah, this poor woman wants her lotto winnings, damn it.
Well, people don't understand. If you're on welfare and you've got the money to go play lotto, I've always had a problem with that one. Number one,
I only play when it's $1 billion.
Programs,
That's when I play, John.
Right, they're playing with other people's money, and then they get mad when they win. They get mad when the other people's money wants their money back. That being the state in this case,
Right,
So I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. So if you can go waste your government check money,
I only do it once in a while, honey.
Win. But some states are really bad. I heard this a few years ago. California, when you die, if you're on social assistance from the state of California,
right?
When you die, the state will come after your estate, and if you have any money, they have first claim on your estate to repay all those government program monies that you were on. So,
well, that's
crazy.
How
about that for
no.
But
I do like the Florida Lotto,
and that ain't true.
I'd love to have somebody talk about it because my daughter, was top of her class, and if you're top of the class and you get a good SAT score or ACT score, you've got the bright futures, and that's phenomenal. It pays for all the tuition at a state school, and University of Florida is number one, and so all of that was paid. Don't get me wrong, it still cost me money to send her with the apartment living and the sorority fees, but what a great thing for students that work hard to be able to do it. And then it comes from lotto money, so I'm pro lotto. You just have to pace yourself and go from there.
I'm sorry. I'm just government gambling, government sponsored gambling is so morally wrong.
Okay. John, when I win the $1 billion, you're going to be in my friend group that's going to the Bahamas for the whole floor of the Atlantis. I've said this for years. We're going to take over a resort and go down the slide screaming like 10-year-olds. Well, the other thing that is a nightmare,
I'll go stand out in my field during a lightning storm and maybe I'll get hit by lightning.
Oh, you're so funny. Well, Fani Willis won yesterday, and I literally wanted to throw up again. And so that was one of my biggest tweets that, because she wants to be able to fund her traffic ticket lawyer boyfriend now. So, and who's voting for these people that are just horrific? And she's a total liar.
I understand that, but the fact is, enough people came out and voted for it. And this was a discussion with Peter. We need to not only turn out our friends and family, we need to all go out and get them to get one more on top of that, because this is going to be all about turnout. It's not just a matter of a little bit. We have to get enough turnout to make up for the cheating that's going to happen.
Yeah.
The Democrats are going to lie, cheat, and steal.
Well, I think
and we
they
know
are.
the fix is in.
I think they
and
are.
The only way to defeat it is to have an overwhelming number of people vote, and they have to vote Republican. We can't stay home. That's so irresponsible to stay home because, they always say, well, one vote, what does my vote make any difference? Well, believe me, I've been through enough elections where one vote mattered. We had a school board race in Panama City, right? One vote difference.
Well, the last mayor, it was 13 votes, and then someone said, I think Panama City, it was 4. So locally, it matters. It matters. So you got to show up. Otherwise, these people keep getting reelected. And when you say when did the grown-ups show up? The grown-ups are called voters. And apparently, there's a whole lot of voters that seem to like what Fani Willis is doing. Well,
and they have no problem.
I don't know how, because she's such a liar. She literally funneled money to her boyfriend. She broke up a marriage. The woman's just a nightmare. And then she thinks she's this liberal goddess.
I think there's embezzlement and all kinds of stuff. If you dig into this office from her, the money that she was spending, it flat ass illegal what she was doing. And yet, how do you hire your boyfriend at, what was it, $500 an hour?
Well, he made like
How does that happen?
660,000.
How does that happen? Right.
Everybody's always
What
making
kind-
money except for me, which that
Right.
goes to the story. Oh, this is another one. This is another one in the Afterburner. RFK Jr. promises black farmers $5 billion in reparations his first week in the White House. And so I have gone bananas on this on X, and I am not a racist. I am not a racist. But why do we have to give anybody reparations at this point? Were you ever a slave? When was slavery? When did that end? Because you know what I'm saying? I'm just, And so, of course, he's pandering to the voters again. Pandering like they all do. $5 billion. Who's going to pay for that, John?
Well, that's a good question, and the point is that you can't make a promise like that because the courts have already struck down. You know, was it the Obama? I think it was the Obama administration tried to make it for farmers, for black farmers, that they tried to give them reparations through a loan modification program, and the court struck it down, saying you can't do that because you can't say black farmers. That's a class of people. And under the equal protection laws, you can't go out and identify a specific class of people as a beneficiary for a government program. And yet that's what he's doing right here. He's just saying, hey, if you're a black farmer, well, what's a black farmer?
Well, this is up there with the loan, the forgiveness of loans for your basket weaving damn degree. I'm sorry.
Well, let me throw this one out as a kind of a related item. And I heard this theory this week, and I was really intrigued by it. And that is that RFK is going to end up being the Democrat candidate, that they are moving the party. You notice he recently came out and said he's pro-abortion.
Yeah.
This past week, that was big news. That he's pro-abortion.
Yeah.
One
up
big
until
news
the
to me.
last
He's a liberal.
day,
Okay.
Until the last day, the baby that is
Right.
fully formed.
Right. So it's anything goes. And apparently his vice presidential candidate, who is a billionaire, okay, she's got lots of money, and apparently
she's another one with crazy agenda items.
Yeah, crazy leftist, right? And apparently she has committed a pile, hundreds of millions of dollars to this campaign. They're not lacking for money. So the only threat that RFK is, he's a threat to Biden. He's a threat to the Democrats. And so the rumor is there's by the time the convention comes around, that they're going to dump Biden.
And I've heard that this week too.
Right. Clinton and the Obama people are all behind this idea that RFK's got the name recognition and he'll pull the liberal votes and Biden's going to get, a core vote of Democrats anyways. But he would be enough to probably be the only one to defeat Trump on a name recognition basis. And he might even draw a few moderate Democrats or moderate Republicans that remember the Kennedy Camelot days.
Yeah, but his whole family hates him.
About that. Exactly. So, but this is hardball politics. This is about lots of money, big time power, and Biden is so bad. I think he's going to be destroyed if he shows up for the debate.
Well, literally, but will he show up? Because now Trump goes, I want him drug tested, because this week, I will say X is a great platform because it has all the clips and it shows him talking and his eyes are as big as, saucers.
Right. Well, and here's what's going to happen, Veronica.
Let's predict it.
It was in a Politico story yesterday. Judge to convict. This is the trial that's going on in New York right now. This is the judge's instructions to the jury. To convict Trump of felonies, jury does not need to unanimously agree on the predicate of the crime he committed. He's basically saying you can convict him on anything you think he's guilty of.
Yeah,
He's not charged. He has not been charged with any crime yet.
We don't know what the crime is.
Him with one.
And then, everybody keeps saying, because the lawyer Cohen has been literally horrific.
Oh, they destroyed him.
Totally mentally ill. Talked about stealing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on the stand. I'm like, did he bump his head?
Stealing $30,000 from the Trump campaign. not the Trump campaign.
I
the
don't
Trump
understand what is going on with this guy, because, and then that was when I was, oh my gosh, I was banished on X for 12 hours because I said, Cohen's a liar and he's going to crash and burn, and I got in jail for 12 hours for saying that.
Wow, I can't believe that.
I was shocked because I wrote he was going to crash and burn, but apparently it says I was being violent, John. I was being violent with the keyboard.
The other part I was somewhat shocked at was the judge would not allow the former chairman of the Federal Election Commission to testify that there was no campaign violation. That's what when he was chairman of the FEC, that was their determination. The judge would not allow that testimony in a case where they're claiming election interference.
And what happens? They go on vacay until next week. They drag it out for more headlines, and then everything you've heard, this judge's daughter is leading this liberal organization, has brought in probably $100 million, and they're probably, he's going to get some, she's going to get some money. So I don't know why are libs not seeing this?
The fix is in. They're going to find him guilty. Okay, of whatever, but this thing will be overturned on appeal. Everybody agrees on it. I mean,
but what happens? Are they gonna do another mugshot? Dress him in the orange jumpsuit like the poor golfer that got arrested, the number one golfer last weekend, going to his PGA match, and it was raining, and he didn't know who this person was that he was trying to get to where he needed to go, and he didn't realize it was a cop in the garb, and the cop grabbed onto the car, and of course he's like, who the hell is this? And it's like the nicest golfer ever that's never been, they took him to jail, put him in an orange jumpsuit. I mean, they treat him really, really nice. And his statement was so nice. But I mean, oh my gosh, it's like the good people now are all getting arrested.
Well, I think what's happening here, Veronica, is there's the fix is in New York. Okay. They're going to find him guilty. If the jury says not guilty, the judge is going to do a directed verdict of guilty. I mean, it's baked in because they want Trump found guilty of a felony.
They
won't
want
say
the
what the felony is.
They want the headline.
Right, they want the headline. And as soon as that happens, the Biden people are going to say, we're not debating a felon. That's exactly what's going to happen. The debate that they're having in June will never happen. Will never happen.
Well, we know about people not wanting to debate because I know talking to people, they're trying to get Congressman Dunn to debate, and he won't even answer the phone or his staffers. So what is wrong with you people? If you are in political office, you need to frickin' debate and defend your record. And I'm really over it. I'm telling you, if these people don't debate, we're taking you out. We're taking you out.
Yep. Well, that's the fix is in.
Well, I know he ran too fast.
The fix is in.
With his little, dirty Harry. I'm coming for you, and there's no way. Especially now, Trump's saying, and why does Trump have to bend over and let it be all liberal people? Organizations, CNN and ABC, and he doesn't get any concessions on what he wants. And then Biden does need to take a drug test. I mean, I jokingly put on X under that little video. I was like, I'll take what he's having so I can clean my house. Because apparently I've never taken any of this stuff, but you get 12 hours of concentration. So I might want to actually put all the laundry where it belongs for once.
Well, you got to remember there's a lot of cocaine in the White House, that they found. So,
which today the breaking news was the RNC. The RNC got vials of blood was sent to them, and so I put on X. I was like, "Is Hunter missing something again?" So that got a lot of traction. But the other story, because you and I are huge Catholics, and I go to church every Sunday, and I keep putting on X. I'm like, maybe that person needs to join me in the confessional. And the big story was Pope Francis calls conservatism a suicidal attitude by one who clings to something. And Pope Francis, a figure of global influence, has reinforced a label that some critics have affixed to him due to his political inclinations, and they've called him Pope Karl, as in Karl Marx. And here's the quote: "Conservative is one who clings to something and does not want to to see beyond that. It's a suicidal attitude, the Pope told CBS News, because one thing is to take tradition into account, to consider situations from the past, but quite another is to be closed up inside a dogmatic box. Okay, so I am in a dogmatic box. What the hell? What the hell? Because I want to save babies, and I don't want to open border with people that are coming over killing Americans? Tell me, John. Tell me how I'm in my dogmatic box.
First off,
woof.
When was the last time you heard the word dogmatic in a
I don't
political
know.
context?
It's been a long time.
How about Diane Feinstein questioning Amy Coney Barrett about her Catholic faith?
Okay.
And whether she could overcome the dogma of her faith
right. Okay.
in order to.
I'm glad you remember that. Yeah.
So I heard that rang a bell, and I was like, okay, this guy is a flipping leftist, and you got to remember, he's
a Jesuit from South America, and they are liberals. And I had in college studying I studied. I have a Spanish degree, so there's a lot of literature and culture, and the literature, like all of these professors, the ones that came from, I had some from Spain too, but the one in Cuba, the ones from Latin America, they were definitely liberal. So he's coming from liberal land.
I think a lot of people don't understand it. The Catholic Church is not this monolithic, organization as far as beliefs go. I mean, it's like there are conservatives, there are liberals, there are radical liberal priests out there, and it's like the political spectrum. And what you find is believe it or not, the African Catholic Church is the most conservative.
And those have been my favorite priests.
Of the church.
One from Congo and one from Nigeria. And they are so conservative. The one from Nigeria always has called out Obama and Biden. And they can't stand what's been going down. I can tell you.
And you find the South Americans tend to be liberal. The Europeans tend to be liberal. And America's kind of split between conservatives and liberals. So, the church has this spectrum of priests and bishops. And, and I think the Pope here.
Well, even the nuns, because.
First off,
the nuns with the football player, the Chiefs football player, Buckner, that I'm anxiously awaiting my jersey, which I'm wearing one today, my Miami Dolphins, John. John can see me on camera, and it looks really good because it's white and it has light blue turquoise. My husband's like, why would you wear that? And I was like, because I like the coloring. But I did buy his jersey, which sold out, by the way, and I helped do it. But there's like some radical nuns that have come out, nuns that have said, hey, we don't support what he said. Can you believe that? I mean, it is like mad. I'm trying to find out which nuns they were. I'm like, because I have the story in my stack here. Yeah. So even nuns, some of these people are crazy, and this is the Catholic faith.
Well, the thing goes back to a story that I actually gave to I think Father Pete years ago at St. Matthew's, and I'm sorry, St. Bernadette. But anyway, the story was about the Catholic Church's deal with the devil. And it was about the liberal mindset of Catholics where some of the bishops think there's nothing wrong with the government, using the government to solve social equality problems. And that it's fine for the government to take money from people, taxpayers, and redistribute it to other people that didn't earn it, in the name of social justice and welfare. And that actually came out of the Chicago diocese is where that idea originated. And I was reading a story, and it was appropriately titled, "The Catholic Church's Deal with the devil being the government." And then the church gets upset when the devil actually uses them as leverage to push this program way past what it should have been, what they envisioned it to be.
Well,
and to me, it always goes back to charity is an individual act. The government cannot be charitable. The government steals your money. Okay, don't tell me somebody stealing my money and giving it to somebody else is a charitable act. It's
well, and
thievery.
that's what we're doing, because when you talk about all these illegals, because I listen to this show almost every day from Boston, and it has gotten so bad there with illegals and crime, and they don't know who they are, and then people that should be in programs, veterans, there's no money because it's all going to these people that we don't know who they are.
Right.
So it's out of control. But pushing forward in our stack of stuff. The Morehouse grads got to experience our darling President Biden, who went to a famous black college, and oh my gosh, his speech, the clips that I heard, the sound bites, you've got to work 10 times harder or you're not going to make it, and then one of the quotes in the story in our stack says, you started college just as George Floyd was murdered, and there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy if black men are being killed in the street? Okay, George Floyd was high on crack or fentanyl, and he is now this superhero. My last trip to New York, people always do art around the city, and I took a picture of it. It was this big, huge face of George Floyd, because he's a hero now. And this was the speech when people are going to graduate, that the black man is being held down by us. And that is not true. That is not true, John.
Well, you got to look at who. Here you have this audience of young black people who have just finished 4 years of college and are getting a degree that 100 years ago would probably have been unimaginable. Okay. Here you have their parents all sitting out there in the audience, and these are not poor black kids from the inner city, okay? So number one, you're not dealing with a bunch of welfare people. You're dealing with people that their parents are probably successful professionals, and their kids are probably going to follow in their footsteps. And to sit there and tell these kids, the world's against you, everything's racist, you will never succeed because you're black. That's what he said to him. You will never succeed if you're black. And I would have been appalled if I had been a parent.
I would have been appalled.
After spending all that money and being proud of my child for having graduated from college with some hopefully useful degree.
I wish somebody would invite me, because, my son was salutatorian, and I remember in high school he gave a killer speech, and it was about being successful. And some people will take the military route. Some people will go to college. It's a rally cry to embark on your life. And this was the black person's being slapped down. We're never going to get over race. We're never going to get over race, because the Dems will not allow us to get over race. And I commented on X.
That's the only way they stay in power.
Well, and I commented on X everywhere. The military, I grew up as a brat, then I was in it. So I've spent most of my life around the military, and it is such a melting pot, because when you're in a foxhole or you're trying to, use wrenches on jets, it's not about the color of your skin. It's about getting the mission done, and we all bleed red. And I'm just so over it, John. I'm so over it. I raised children that love everybody, and I'm still trying to love everybody, but I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of it.
Well, I am too, and it's not. That's not. My dad was in the Army for 26 years, so I understand what you're saying. We lived in Germany when I was in third and fourth grade.
I moved 17 times with my dad trying to be a general. 4 high schools, 3 colleges.
Our neighbors were a black family when I lived in Germany with them, and my best friend when I was over, we'd go play was a black kid. I didn't think of him as a black kid. Okay,
no,
it didn't matter. We were out. Monkeying around, doing stuff, running around, being, third and fourth graders kind of thing. And just having a good time. And it wasn't, race was never in the equation, ever in the equation.
No. And it's so, since Obama took over, it has been a daily thing about race. And when a cop sadly kills a black person, which they kill white people too, it's because the cop was racist. Well, how about because the person was on drugs and was doing something illegal and didn't stop? You know, my husband always plays, you know, we watch a lot of that, the PD live show, and there's all these clips on YouTube, and these people are always doing the wrong thing, you know, and who I don't want a cop in harm's way. How many have to die because somebody's crazy on crack? Whatever it is, fentanyl these days.
Forget the cop thing, Veronica, because the numbers do not support the narrative. Okay,
no, they don't.
The number of black men killed by the police every year is handfuls. Okay, under 100, and yet the one thing that they don't want to talk about, the one thing the Black Lives Matter people don't want to talk about, is the black on black violence. How many black people are killing other black people in these cities?
Well, we've seen it with there's some party in Tampa where there was supposed to be a roller skating party, and 400 people showed up, and they said no, it's not happening. And then they started all beating each other up.
Yeah,
and I think they were all black. So I really don't care what color you are. It's about doing the right thing always. So we'll press on that because I don't know how to fix it. I'm over race. But I'm sick of having to put your race goggles on. I'm not dealing with it anymore. I'm going to hire you on merit. I'm not going to hire you on the skin color. You know, I'm done with it. I'm done with it because I've known black people, Chinese, Asian people. We all work hard. Hispanic people like myself, we all work hard.
The only way the Democrats succeed is through division and grievance.
And there's a lot of division right now.
That's how they succeed.
There's a lot of division.
That's why they agitate. Back to the Marxist, dogma.
Oh my gosh,
no! You have to have conflict between the classes. That's how you keep stirring conflict between the classes. I mean, it's pretty plain what they're doing, and we always seem to keep falling into that trap.
Well, I'm not falling into it anymore. If I'm going to run a company and you're working for me, it's because you're going to be working and you're going to be kicking ass, and I don't care what color, what gender you are. So get over it. You put in the stack of stuff too. Ukraine pays the price for U.S. dithering over military aid. Delays and conditions on military aid have allowed a perilous Russian advance. And these people have lost, oh my gosh, both sides, so many people. And we're what, is it 2 years already? Or what's it?
Over 2 years.
February will be 3. Come on, people, get to the table and end this conflict. Mothers don't want this anymore.
It goes back to my about this being an immoral war because we sit there and say, oh, Ukraine's in the right, which they are, I suppose. It's their country and they're being invaded by the Russians. That's just the bottom line. The fact is we still refuse to give them what they need to defend themselves. Okay, and the story here is that we're giving them weapons, but we're not allowing them to use them. So they give them missiles, but the missiles have range limitations on them, not what the missile can actually do. The U.S. is saying you can't use this missile so that you can fire into Russia.
I mean, give me a break.
And it's like,
all of
wait
these
a minute,
limitations.
where are all the Russian forces massing? Yeah, the Russian forces are all massing on the Russian side of the border, and then they invade Ukraine. But the Ukrainians are not allowed to shoot at them while they're in Russia. They have to wait till they come into Ukraine. What kind of insanity is that? The problem is we're trying to run these wars for these people, and they say, well, that's not the way we would do it, but we don't want to be involved. It's like, well, you are involved. You gave them money. You're giving them weapons. You're involved. You're up to your neck in it.
Yeah. Well, and you put in here, and there's another story that's not in the stack that I definitely want to mention. When you go to Biden's top military advisor, chides Israel for losing ground to Hamas. And guess who that is? And I've met him. General C.Q. Brown, an Air Force fighter pilot, he's black general, put into this position, and he's talking about, his little quotes here, you've got to stabilize it and hold the line. Like, what? Why are we saying we've been awful to Israel, and now why is he getting into this, John? Tell me, because you're like me.
Because the Biden administration is wanting to stop. They want Hamas to win, and they don't want Israel to win. That's what it comes down to. Because they're pandering to these stupid fools on these college campuses, thinking that if they don't pander to them, they're going to lose their vote. And it's like, back to, Detroitistan and Milwaukee-stan, and all these places where you've got these Muslim populations that are Hamas sympathizers. That's more important to the Democrat than allowing Israel, who is
it gets
the only
worse.
Democratic country in the Middle East,
So George Clooney is married to Amal Clooney, the most gorgeous woman you've ever seen. She could wear a trash bag and she looks like $1 million. She's a human rights attorney, and she is among a group of legal experts, and she pushed for this, who advised the International Criminal Court prosecutor to seek arrest warrants against the top leaders of Israel and Hamas. And guess who one of the top leaders was? Prime Minister Netanyahu. What is this crap? Did we forget about the 1,300 people that were killed, raped, burned, put in an oven, babies decapitated? I'm just over it. So this woman is a complete idiot, liberal, and I can't even look at these people. I mean, I knew George Clooney was liberal, and he owns that Casamigas, whatever, tequila, and he's a billionaire now. And then they push their dumb agenda, and they forget about the baby that was put in the oven.
Well, first off, they deny that ever happened. They say that's propaganda from the Israelis, even though the footage came
We've heard so much
from the Hamas fighters, as they scream their Allah Akbar stuff there, But it's back to moral equivalence is what they're trying to do here, Veronica. They're trying to say what Hamas did was morally equivalent because the Israelis are oppressors, for occupied Palestine. By the way, occupied Palestine is the code word for the state of Israel, okay? That's what it really means. So they consider the existence of Israel to be just, occupied Palestine, and anything they do as resistance to the occupiers is justified. So the fact that the Israelis come in and tell the civilians, we're going to bomb this place, you need to get out now before we bomb this place to eliminate Hamas. And then I don't remember Hamas telling that music festival, oh, by the way, we're going to send over all these people and kill you.
No.
They didn't drop leaflets and say that, did they? But
no.
And somehow in these people's minds that's morally equivalent to the Israeli trying to. By the way, there's nothing humane about war. Okay, let's start with that fact. It's not a humane thing.
But what has been done to non-combatants, there's no excuse for it. And don't get me wrong, I don't want children in Palestine suffering either. But these people on that side have put those children in that predicament, and we've got to take out Hamas. I'm done. I'm done. It's like press on.
Well, Veronica, the fundamental piece that you have to remember: evil exists. Okay.
Well,
evil
it
is in the form of
really
Hamas.
out there
and
these
good,
days.
Right. And good in the form of Israel has to defeat evil.
Right.
And that's the way you should always look at this. It's not a morally equivalent situation, and it never will be.
Well, but
Israel
nobody
didn't
remembers the
start this,
1,300 people, and I think there's still 150 hostages, 8 are American, that nobody says boo to. And then we have a General C.Q. Brown from the Air Force weighing in. So be quiet. Have Israel's back. And then who is this Amal Clooney? You're going after Netanyahu, who's defending his country and his people. Shut up and color. Shut up and color with your fancy outfits and your luxurious lifestyles, flying private jets all over. Really? Seriously.
Yeah. Why don't you take some of that money and give it to those poor refugees?
No, because she's got designer goods and she's had a house in Tuscany. So, I'm over it. I don't have a house in Tuscany. I would like one,
they're always
though,
the last
John.
people to
John, I would like one when I win the lotto. Okay, our last story.
But Brown was really off base, though. I thought he was really off base with that.
This man has been off base on a lot of things, and then, I hopefully he's not a DEI hire because I don't want that. I want the best, but he's just not good, and Austin's not good, and it has nothing to do with their skin color. These people are not delivering for our nation, our country, and our military. And then you go out and try to slam allies' backs. No, I'm done with it. Stop stabbing them in the back.
It's only one ally. It's only one ally, and why do they not say the same thing about Zelensky and the Ukraine? Why don't they talk about, well, their
and everybody I
warfighting
talked
tactics are
to,
bad.
Zelensky's got issues. I mean, we did have that one retired colonel that's over there fighting to help all these people that are missing arms and stuff. But why is Zelensky suppressing elections? I don't care if you're in war. You know what I'm saying? Where is all this money going? Hopefully it is to all these military equipment places. But when you're on the cover of Vogue and stuff, then I have a different opinion. Because if you're in war, being in a fashion magazine is not where you need to belong. Yeah, maybe telling your story, but not doing some fashion layout. So I'm just... Nobody's fair. Nobody works hard, and people are stealing money everywhere. And I'm just tired of it, John.
That seems to be the normal.
Okay, well, let's talk about Iran, because they were so smart. They went flying in a helicopter in weather, and then I was like, who's going to get blamed for this? Israel, Trump. No, I was probably the dumb pilots. It was like a Kobe Bryant experience. Everybody was grounded, exactly right. But Kobe's pilot decided to fly in weather and then slammed into the mountains, sadly, and killed everybody on board. And so that's the thing. Everybody's in mourning in Iran over a terrorist. And did you see how our leaders, was it at the UN, the one stood up during was very respectful over the death of this terrorist?
Wasn't that offensive? I thought that was just, they make this guy, what was his nickname, the Butcher of something or another?
Yeah, the Butcher.
They're making him out like he's a hero, hero. And it's like, no, this guy's not a hero. He's a piece of dog crap,
Why would we support that? I mean, I don't know. I'm not into supporting terrorists, and this regime is all about it. Nicknamed Butcher of Tehran, that's what he's called. So,
and if Trump was president, maybe I would say maybe it wasn't the weather. Maybe a ground to air missile took him out. If Trump was president. Well,
that's what I was thinking. Who's going to be blamed
I'm sure
for
Biden
it?
was saddened by it. Yeah. Jake Sullivan, I'm sure, is crying in his beer or whatever.
Yeah, it was the moment of silence for him at the UN that is so frickin' shocking. And our country is just so weak. We are so weak. And then to think, if Biden gets to a debate, I mean, the man is just, there's no way he's making the decisions. It's Biden and Rice and whoever. But we've got to have a change, and we need to take out, after this week, lethal force in Mar-a-Lago. Like, literally, when I think about it, I'm physically sick. This is a former president who's committed no crimes, John. What crimes? What crimes has he committed?
Well, first off, I listened to Dan Bongino, who's a former Secret Service agent that was on the protected detail. He was shocked. He was
livid
that the FBI would authorize an armed raid on a Secret Service protectee and authorizing use of deadly force. And he's like, believe me, that is not the way this is ever done. And apparently some FBI agents have contacted him and said the Florida office was overridden by Washington. The Florida office didn't even want to do it. They thought Trump's cooperating. There's no reason to go have this raid or warrant serving. And then to listen to Director Wray and Garland mealy-mouthing, they would not take ownership.
Garland is document. Just literally awful.
It was
how much has gone down? And then we know with the classified, guess what? They changed those cover sheets, right. And then I guess whoever does the document, whatever, sent files down to Mar-a-Lago that he wasn't supposed to get.
Boxes of files were the boxes of files the FBI seized were taken to Washington D.C. and the FBI has monkeyed around with those files, and apparently the accounting sheets, what they call the chain of custody, has been compromised on those documents. So it's like,
and then you take Barron's comic book collection that are probably originals or signed or something. Where's the accountability? We are truly living in a banana republic, and I've lived in one. It is awful. People lie, they cheat, they steal. You can bribe people. It is the worst. We are there.
The accountability is in Washington, D.C. That's where the accountability needs to be at. It's not the field office agents that we're doing this. It was the leadership in Washington, D.C. And it just goes to show you that the whole cabal from the Obama
It's all
era
scripted.
are
It's all
still running the
scripted.
FBI.
Yeah.
They're still running the CIA. They're still running the Department of Justice. The same people that went after Trump when he was in office are still there, and they will still be there when Trump gets elected. And if Trump doesn't do a wholesale house cleaning, and I mean,
Literally, I'm like,
appointing an
everybody
attorney
needs to
general,
be fired, and they can go.
That's exactly right. He needs to
They
get
can
an
go
attorney
hang out with the
general that says,
illegals at these
I am
hotels.
firing. Right. They need to fire the top 4 layers of leadership. Fire every one of them. 1,000 people. You're fired. When he comes in, do the apprentice on him. You're fired. The first 1,000 people. And then when the press starts screaming, fire another 1,000.
Yeah.
And the message will get delivered. But it's not, you can't play
Well,
nice with
it's
these people.
years
They don't want to
of
play nice.
libs being embedded into these organizations,
Right.
and you know,
Exactly right. They're embedded. And the only way to get rid of them is to fire them. Fire every one of them.
yeah.
Boot them out and fire them.
Well, and then move, like we've heard before, move the FBI out of D.C., you know, have the DOJ office in North Pole, Alaska that my husband was just at.
I think the FBI counterintelligence agency division needs to be eliminated, period. Just gone. Shut it down. It's so corrupt and beyond redemption, it has to be shut down. I'm sure there's nice people working in the field that believe in some FBI, ethos, but the people in Washington are complete waste of time.
Well, and I did see on X, I don't know if it's true, but it was that they let Governor DeSantis know it was happening. He's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. And it was some tweet. So it could be baloney. I don't know if it's verified, but I saw that go around X. And I was like, well, if DeSantis got it, I'm sure he would have texted Trump. I know I would have, So, anyways,
the whole thing was political theater, Veronica. It was designed as political theater, and that's exactly what they wanted.
I agree. So agree.
And they still won't admit that Trump has the ability, when he was president, to declassify every one of those classified documents he had in his possession.
Biden did not, ladies and gentlemen. Biden did not.
Right, and I heard the excuse today. Well, Trump didn't follow the process. It's like,
what
Trump
process?
Is the president
he was the
of
president.
The United. Right, he's the president.
He has been treated worse than like. Oh, what could you say? Like somebody picking up your trash, the way they've treated this president and his family.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was so thankful to see Barron graduated and Trump was there. Melania with her beautiful hat looked like $1 million. And to think that was even in jeopardy, that makes me throw up. So I just hope we dominate in November. And we really need to dominate because I know there's shenanigans probably happening already that they've planned. We've got to win because it's going to take, this is like aisle 13 clean up, and it's going to be a lot of cleanup down, trying to clean up the swamp. Well, I did want to talk about your lovely cartoons you sent me, and it's Darling Garland, and he's at his office at the Department of Justice. And it's the Constitution, we the people, is on fire burning. And he says, I will protect this building and its people. And he is such a liar. Plus, he's hard to look at.
I know.
I have to say.
Constitution? Yeah. and imagine he could have been on the Supreme Court. Just think about that for a second.
I don't even. How was that turned off? I've forgotten how he ended up getting turned off. What happened there? Do you remember the story on that?
Mitch McConnell actually stood up and said, "We are waiting until after the election to consider a Supreme Court nominee." So the Democrats wanted him pushed through, and the Republicans were in the majority at that point, and said, "Nope, we're not going to vote." So Mitch McConnell actually is credited, and he should be, with doing something that was right. And that again is back to the 50. The whole thing about the nuclear option. About the Democrats, pushing through and saying, "Hey, we only need a simple majority for Supreme Court nominees." Well, that's when it came back and bit them in the butt big time, because it was, all right, you changed McConnell told him, you changed the rules. So the new rules are, we're going to play by the rules, and you don't have a majority. We've got 52 votes, and you don't.
Right.
And Garland's not going to be considered. So
Thank you.
That enraged,
Thank you that he didn't make it, because he's doing enough damage in the position he's in, I can tell you.
Yeah, exactly. But at least he got that one right. I'll give him that. He got that one right.
And then this one I've been pushing back on X, and so it's got my favorite kicker with my number 7 jersey that's inbound. The NFL has condemned kicker Harrison Butker's faith-based commencement speech at a Catholic college by a Catholic kicker. And then it's a couple, they've got the remote, they're looking at the TV, and the woman says, the same NFL with a long history of assault and abuse against women. Can you believe the NFL? I will say the Chiefs, the owner's daughter and his wife have come out in support of him, saying, he could do. And then the NFL did have their dumb statement, well, he wasn't on our time, so he can say whatever he wants. Yet they had NFL players arrested this week. So,
I know. Well, the NFL managed to screw it up again. They could have done the right thing, but they choose to do the it's like the coach, the coach of the basketball team, what was it, from North Carolina, the one that won the national championship.
Oh, the woman. Yeah.
In a post game where she comes out and says, "Yeah, I'll allow trans men on my team. I don't mind playing against trans men." And it's like, you should have spoke up for the women on your team that you're trying to promote and champion, instead of saying, "I'll let trans men play against them." I mean, that,
well, and this week in high school, there was a trans girl who was a former boy. Again, it's always in running, broke every school record. Crushed them. John, done with this. Yep. So, but we've had
not normal. It's not
great
acceptable.
Afterburner Debrief with all the hot issues. We want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day weekend. And we've got tons of guests always in the queue, because that's all I do. Because, I'm just always working for the show. Would love to have a sponsor. Love to go national. I mean, our show is international because people can find it on like 20 outlets. But we like to be, back on somewhere. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Podcast Addict, YouTube. I do a lot of LinkedIn, and of course, X is my new favorite platform. I hope the next show I'll be at 1 million. That's pretty good in 3 months, I think. So
maybe get on Whitcomb Social.
Yeah, I'm gonna play around with that too. So, wish everybody a blessed Memorial Day weekend, and Veronica Live is out.